I want to start with a very specific, maybe slightly uncomfortable scenario.
Okay, I'm with you.
You know that feeling when the alarm goes off, the room's lit, the day has technically started,
Yep.
but for just a split second, you you hit this wall. It's not exactly panic,
Yeah.
and it's not dread.
No, it's something quieter. It's like
It's
blankness.
blank. It's this sudden um, inability to figure out what you're even supposed to care about.
It's like the Wi-Fi signal for your internal motivation just completely dropped out.
Yes, that's exactly. You're just buffering. And we aren't talking about some huge crisis. You know, the house isn't burning down.
No, this is much quieter.
It's the sensation of just moving through your day on autopilot, brushing your teeth, the commute, answering emails, but you're not really there.
Hmm.
The source material we are diving into today, it uses this incredible image for it. It feels like everyone else got a map for life.
And you somehow missed the meeting where they were handed out.
You miss the meaning. That metaphor, it just does so much heavy lifting, doesn't it?
Yeah. It really does. It captures that specific kind of isolation. You just look around and it seems like everyone is walking with purpose, and you're just standing on the sidewalk wondering which way is north.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We are looking at a text called The Quiet Courage of Navigating Uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And the mission here is, I think, really crucial because usually we categorize feeling lost as a malfunction, like a bug in the code that needs to be fixed right away.
Which is the standard reaction,
Yeah.
right? We want to fix it. But the core argument of this deep dive is that this feeling, it isn't a failure.
Okay.
It's actually a distinct, necessary, and an even powerful form of transition. It's not a breakdown, it's a recalibration.
That is a massive reframe, though, because
Yeah.
it does not feel powerful when you're in it. It feels awful.
Oh, for sure. It's deeply uncomfortable.
So if you're listening to this and you're maybe in the middle of a career pivot or you just have that low hum of offness,
Yeah.
even though your life looks great on paper, stick around. We're not just going to empathize. We're going to build a toolkit for navigating that fog.
Let's get into it.
We have to start with the diagnosis.
Yeah.
Because the thing that drives people crazy about this specific kind of uncertainty is that usually nothing is technically wrong.
That is the paradox. And the source material makes a really, really important distinction here.
Which is?
It says that on paper, your stats might look perfect. You're functioning. You're holding down the job. You show up for things.
You're paying the rent.
Yeah.
To the outside observer, there is no crisis.
Exactly.
But isn't that almost worse? Because if you got fired or you went through a bad breakup, you'd have a reason to feel lost. You could point to the rubble and say, see, that's why I'm a mess.
Without that external disaster, you don't feel entitled to the confusion, so it turns into guilt.
Right. You feel like you should be grateful.
But instead, you just feel like you're drifting. The text describes it as the difference between, say, driving the car and sitting in the passenger seat while the car drives itself.
That lack of agency is terrifying. Just enduring your own life. But why does this happen? If everything is fine, where does this dissatisfaction come from?
It comes from what the author calls the silent burden. It's just the exhaustion of carrying these unasked questions around all day long.
I highlighted that list of questions. They're the ones that creep in right when you're trying to fall asleep, you know.
Totally. Is this all there is?
Did I miss my window?
Yeah.
Or am I just pretending to be happy?
And you don't say them out loud because they sound so ungrateful or they sound dangerous. If you really ask, is this all there is, you might have to blow up your whole life to answer it.
Yeah.
So carrying them creates this state of quiet dissatisfaction. And I want to pause on that term because it's so important.
Okay.
This isn't necessarily clinical depression, though they can overlap, and it's not burnout, which is usually about volume of work. This is existential. It's a signal interference. It's your gut telling you that you are not where you're meant to be, even if you have no clue where the destination is.
It's like wearing a pair of shoes that are just a half size too small.
Ooh, that's good.
You can walk in them. You can probably run a marathon in them if you have to. But every single step is just this little reminder that something is wrong.
That's a great analogy. You can function, but you can't really flourish.
But here is where we run into this societal wall. Because let's be honest, we have a very specific script for adults who say, I'm lost.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to a dinner party and say, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, I'm not getting a high five.
No, you're getting judged. The script is, get it together.
Right. If you tell someone you're lost, the immediate assumption is that you're lazy, or you're flaky,
Yeah.
or you just lack grit.
We pathologize uncertainty. We see it as a character flaw. But this is where the source material just flips the whole table. It argues that feeling lost is often the exact opposite of being lazy.
Okay, walk me through that. Because when I'm feeling lost, I often spend a lot of time on the couch staring at the ceiling. That feels pretty lazy.
But think about the mechanics of why you're on the couch.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were truly lazy, or if you truly didn't care, you wouldn't feel lost.
You'd be content.
You'd be content. You'd settle for the status quo, you'd punch the clock, and you wouldn't worry about meaning.
Ignorance is bliss.
Precisely. The fact that you feel lost means you are paying attention. It means you have high standards for your own life. You are refusing to fake it. You're stuck because you can't reconcile who you are with what you're doing. That gap, that's not laziness, that's integrity.
That is a validation that I think a lot of people need to hear. The discomfort isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're trying to find the truth.
It's the friction of integrity. But we struggle to see it that way because of what the text calls the dangerous idea.
Okay.
It's this conditioned belief that adulthood just equals clarity.
The idea that by, age 25 or 30 or 40, a magical package is supposed to arrive in the mail containing your purpose.
Right. We treat life like a video game where you beat a level and then you unlock the clarity achievement.
And if you haven't gotten the package yet, you're behind. You missed the deadline.
But the deep dive just exposes that for what it is, a total myth. It's the big secret.
What's the secret?
The source suggests that if you really drilled down, you'd find that very few people actually feel certain. Most people are just improvising. They've just gotten very good at masking their uncertainty with busyness.
So we're all just making it up as we go along, but some people are just better actors.
100%. The feeling of, I should have this figured out by now, is based on a Twitter line that doesn't even exist.
Okay, so intellectually, I get that. Everyone is winging it. But emotionally, it is so hard to hold on to that truth when you pick up your phone. Which brings us to the trap.
Social media, the highlight reel.
It is lethal when you're in this fog.
Yeah.
You open an app, and it is just an onslaught of certainty.
Oh, yeah.
Engagement photos, promotions, I'm thrilled to announce. People buying houses. It looks like everyone is moving in a straight line up a mountain, and you're just walking in circles in a swamp.
And that's the danger of the medium. Social media is inherently linear. It's a timeline, point A to point B. It edits out all the messy, circular, confused middle parts.
So when you compare your internal reality, which is messy, to their external presentation, which is polished, you always lose.
Always. There's a quote from the source here that I just love.
I think I know the one. Comparison doesn't give direction.
It steals it. It steals it because it breaks your internal compass.
Yeah.
And this leads to what the author calls the trust deficit. This is a crucial concept.
This one really resonated with me. Can we break this down? How do we get this deficit of trust in ourselves?
Well, when you feel lost, what's the first thing you do? You audit your past.
Yeah.
You look at the degree you picked, the job you took, the city you moved to, and because you're unhappy now, you label all those past choices as mistakes. You think, wow, I make bad decisions. I got myself into this.
You basically gaslight yourself. You start to think your own instincts are broken.
Exactly. You stop trusting your own judgment. And because you don't trust yourself, you freeze. You decide, okay, I'm not going to make another move until I am 100% certain it's the right one.
You want the map before you even start the car.
You're waiting for a guarantee. But the source offers this massive correction here. It says, certainty is not a prerequisite for movement. Certainty is a result of movement.
That is such a hard pill to swallow, though.
Yeah.
We want the safety first.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
But you cannot think your way into certainty. You can only move your way into it. You have to drive the car to draw the map.
That's the part that keeps us stuck.
Yeah.
We're waiting to feel safe before we take a step, but the safety actually comes from taking the step.
It's a terrifying shift, I get it, but it's the only way out.
So if we stop beating ourselves up for being lazy, and we stop comparing our blooper reel to everyone else's highlight reel, we're still left with this really uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
How do we reframe the actual sensation of being lost? Because it still hurts.
We have to change the language we use to describe it. And the text says this explicitly. Feeling lost doesn't mean you are broken. It means you have outgrown an old version of yourself.
Outgrown. That implies progress, not regression. But why does growth feel so much like falling apart?
Okay, think of a hermit crab or a snake shedding its skin. There's this period where the old shell is just too tight, it's suffocating, you have to leave it.
Right.
But the new shell hasn't hardened yet.
So you're naked.
You are exposed, you're vulnerable. The text calls this the space between. It's the hallway between the doors. And it sucks. It is inherently uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But the problem isn't the discomfort itself. The problem is that we judge the discomfort. We think, I'm uncomfortable, so I must be doing something wrong.
I mean, actually, it's I'm uncomfortable because I'm growing.
Right. The source argues that uncertainty isn't the enemy. Avoiding it is. If you rush through that hallway just to get out of the discomfort, you'll probably just grab the first shell you find, even if it doesn't fit.
And you end up right back where you started.
Exactly.
So the courage part, the quiet courage from the title, that's the willingness to just sit in that hallway for a minute, to be naked and soft and just wait for the new skin to form.
That's it. It's the courage to not know and to trust that not knowing is a valid and necessary phase of the process.
Okay, but I know our listener. They're nodding along, they feel validated, but they're also thinking, okay, I'm in the hallway, I'm naked, I'm cold. What do I actually do besides wait? We need tactics.
Fair enough. We can't just philosophize. Let's get tactical. So the first tool the source provides is about managing our expectations. We have to dismantle the myth of the big answer.
Oh, I am so guilty of this. I am always waiting for the lightning bolt, the burning bush. I want the sky to crack open and a voice to just boom, you should be an architect.
It's very cinematic, but real life is not a movie. The source argues that clarity almost never arrives with a bang. It arrives quietly. It's a whisper, not a shout.
So if we're not waiting for the lightning bolt, what are we looking for? Because if I don't know what to do, how am I supposed to find the answer?
You stop asking the massive, paralyzing questions. Questions like, what is my destiny? Or, what should I do with the rest of my life?
They're too big.
Way too big. Instead, the source suggests a much smaller, sharper question. What feels honest right now?
What feels honest right now?
And notice the qualifiers there.
Yeah.
Not what is smart, not what is lucrative, not what will my parents approve of, just what is honest.
But what if honest is scary? What if the honest answer is, I hate my job? That doesn't exactly solve the problem of paying my bills.
But honest doesn't mean you have to burn your life down today. Honest might just mean I honestly need a glass of water. Or I honestly hate this meeting and need to step outside for 5 minutes.
Or I honestly want to read a book about gardening.
Exactly. It seems so small.
Yeah.
But acting on those tiny, tiny honesties rebuilds that trust deficit we talked about earlier.
Right.
You start proving to yourself that you can listen to your own needs and act on them. It's like rehab for your intuition.
I love that. But while you're doing that, while you're listening for those little honesties, life is still chaotic. You still feel untethered.
Which brings us to the second tool, anchors. When your internal world is in flux, your identity, career, future, you need your external world to be as rigid as possible.
Oh.
You need to tether yourself to things that are solid.
The source lists things like daily routines, sleep schedules, exercise.
And it sounds so boring. I know, make your bed is cliche advice, but in this context, it's profound. When you feel like you have zero control over your future, making your bed is a way of asserting control over your immediate environment.
It reminds you that you still have agency. You're not helpless.
Exactly. It's not about the bed. It's about reducing cognitive load. It creates this stable platform so you have the energy to do the heavy lifting of figuring out your life. You can't navigate a storm in a boat that's falling apart.
Okay, then there's the advice about speed. Because when I feel lost, my instinct is just to sprint. I want to find the exit immediately. I start applying to 50 jobs, or I sign up for a master's degree at 3 a.m.
That's the panic talking. The source has a great mantra for this: direction over speed. Direction over speed. A slow step in the right direction is infinitely better than running a marathon in a circle. If you sprint while you're lost, you're just getting lost faster.
Okay.
The text advises slowing down to a crawl if you have to.
So we've slowed down, we've anchored ourselves with routines, we're asking what's honest. How do we actually start seeing the new path? The Force talks about looking for clues.
Yes, this is the detective work. The text suggests paying attention to what keeps returning to you. There are usually ideas or hobbies or little curiosities that you just can't quite shake.
The things we normally dismiss as just distractions.
Right. Oh, that's just a silly daydream, or that's just a hobby. The source says those are data points. Maybe you keep pausing on articles about interior design. Maybe you keep thinking about that coding class you took 10 years ago.
Maybe you're weirdly jealous of your friend who works in a bakery.
Jealousy is a huge clue.
Oh, jealousy is a map. It tells you exactly what you want, but are too afraid to admit you want it.
Exactly. We tend to ignore these things because they don't look like a 5-year plan. But they're the breadcrumbs. You have to follow them without knowing where they lead.
But that requires us to totally change how we define progress. Because following a random curiosity about baking doesn't feel like career progress. It feels like wasting time.
And that is the final major shift this deep dive asks of us. We have to redefine progress. We're conditioned to think progress is always visible. It's money, titles, certificates.
Right.
But the source argues that in this space between, progress is very often invisible.
Give me an example of invisible progress.
Resting. When you are exhausted from existential dread, resting is productive. It's recharging the battery.
Oh.
Or saying no. Declining an opportunity that looks good on paper but feels wrong in your gut. That is massive progress, even though it looks like you're doing absolutely nothing.
It's just clearing the space.
Yes. Clearing space is an action. You're preparing the soil. You can't plant a new garden if the lot is full of junk.
There's also this distinction that I thought was really beautiful between direction and meaning.
It takes the pressure off. You might not have direction. You don't know where you'll be in 5 years, but you can have meaning today.
How so?
You can choose to be kind. You can choose to be curious. You can choose to be a person of integrity. You don't need a career plan for that.
It brings the focus back to the now. It stops you from living in some hypothetical future and grounds you in the actual present.
Which is the only place we ever really are.
So pulling this all together, what is the final takeaway for the listener who is maybe sitting in their car right now, staring at the steering wheel and just feeling that emptiness?
The core message is this. You are not falling behind. There is no universal schedule. There is no master timeline that you have somehow violated. Your life is not late.
It's just unfolding.
This is just unfolding. And unfolding is messy by nature. Think of a big map being unfolded. It's chaotic before it finally lays flat.
I think the thing I'm going to carry with me is that idea that one step is enough.
That is the antidote to the overwhelm. You don't need the 10-year vision. You just need the next honest step.
Send me email.
Take the walk. Read the book. Whatever that tiny, tiny ping of honesty is, just follow it. Because movement creates clarity.
Movement creates clarity, not the other way around.
Right. You can't steer a parked car.
It feels a lot more hopeful than where we started. That heavy feeling of lostness isn't a dead end.
No. The source wraps up with this sentiment that I just love. It says, feeling lost isn't the end of the story. It is often the beginning of a more honest one.
A more honest story. I like that. Because maybe the story you were living before, the one that didn't fit, it wasn't really yours to begin with.
Exactly. This transition is stripping away the expectations, the shoulds, all the maps that everyone else handed you, and what's left underneath? It isn't emptiness. It's you. The real you, finally getting a chance to speak.
That's a powerful place to land. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to return to who you actually are.
And that takes courage. Quiet courage.
So for everyone listening, if you feel like you missed the meeting where they handed out the maps,
Yeah.
just take a breath. You didn't miss anything. You're just finally free to draw your own.
And it's okay if your hand shakes a little bit while you draw it.
Absolutely. This has been such a necessary reset.
It's always good to remember that growth is a cycle, not a straight line.
Before we go, here's a final thought for you to carry into your day. Something to mull over that builds on what we've discussed. We talked a lot about finding the next honest step and picking up new clues. But ask yourself this. What is one thing you are holding on to right now? A habit, a commitment, a belief about yourself, solely because you are afraid of the empty space that would be left if you let it go. Sometimes the most honest step isn't picking something up, it's putting something down.
That's the real work right there.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.